and complain about it. Man, but tomorrow, I think over the weekend they say we're gonna get some rain. So, I'm not into celebrating Easter. However, for those of you who are, happy Easter to you, and I wish that you. We're gonna talk about the mentality of Western Freemasonry. The mentality of Western Freemasonry. And we're going to talk about what does that look like. What is the mentality of Western Freemasonry? And I would say that in my own opinion about, this is something I have personally read. Throughout the Masonic Encyclopedia, uh, when you read it in the early establishment of Freemasonry as we know it today, it has left out, it has totally left out what I would consider Black Masonry. When you begin to read it, you'll find for yourself, you know where to be found in it. However, when you pick up the rituals and you read the rituals and how the ritual is written in such a fashion, it has you all over it. It really does. In my reading of the Anderson Constitution, that Constitution wasn't written for anyone involved in Freemason that it was African American descent or anything like that. In reading Anderson Constitution, that Constitution was written for that particular branch of Freemasonry. That's who it was written for. You, as a Grand Lodge, maybe some of us have used it in establishing our own Constitution, but it wasn't written. It wasn't written for you at all. So what I've found is that in a lot of reading in Freemasonry, what I've found is that the Western mentality is heavy in Freemasonry. When I say heavy, it's like if it's not done this way, it's not right. If it's not done this way, it's not right. And a lot of us have taken on that same mentality, and we have tend to use it against each other. We have tend to take that same mentality, flip it, and say, if it's not the right way. I used to think that way. I was like, well, yeah, I read this in the Masonic Encyclopedia. It said this, or I've read this source, and then I want to send a big shout out to Jason, no, to Brother Boris out of Virginia. I want to send him a big shout out. All right, Brother Boris out of Virginia. I don't know if he's still actively involved in Freemasonry or not, but I do want to send him a big shout out. And I say that because he introduced me to quite a few brothers from overseas. All right, I want to send a big shout out to Jarvis. I know a lot of people don't like Jarvis, but that's okay. I mean, he's never done anything wrong to me, but however, with that being said, I'm going to send him a big shout out because he also introduced me to some brothers from overseas. And in the process of meeting these various Masons from these various parts of the country, I personally, along with my Grand Lodge, developed relationships. And in the process of developing relationships, I found and I discovered different practices in Freemasonry. So my mindset was a Western mindset. If it's not done this way, then it's not right. If the Holy Bible and the square and the compass is not this way, then it's not right. If the Bible isn't open here, it is not right. If you don't come in the lodge this way, it's not right. If you don't hold your hands this way, it's not right. If you don't grip this way, it's not right. When I began to look at that, when I began to really analyze that in my mindset, it was totally a westernized mindset about what Freemasonry is and what it should be and how it should do this and do that. So in my interaction with the brothers from Chile, when I first spoke with the Grand Master out of Chile, and I was able to sit in lodge with him and talk with him, it was like, well, damn, that's not how I was taught. And it wasn't to say that I was taught wrong. It was to say that when you go to various places, it's not going to always be done the way you do it. My mentality was a westernized set of standards about Freemasonry. Instead of me taking the principles and applying that, I was applying that of a Western mentality. Let me show you. The principal concept of Freemasonry, we all quote it. Brotherly love, relief, and truth. We all say that, you know, we do. It's a standard protocol, is just something we say because we have been kind of drilled on that. But when you take and apply brotherly love, what does that look like? Does that apply to those who practice the principles of Freemasonry, those who have been initiated, passed, and raised? Does that apply to them? Or does that apply to only those who you accept to be Masons? Does that only apply to who your Grand Lodge recognizes? Does that only apply to them, or does it apply to the brotherhood of Freemasonry? Does it apply that way? So I continued to read, and I came across in a Masonic ritual I have, in the Western culture of Freemasonry, there is one obligation in the Masons, in the Master's Mason degree work. But I have a couple of other rituals that tells me it's two obligations. One is a Masonic oath and one is a Masonic obligation. Totally two different things. I was surprised because of my mindset. I was surprised because of my ritual, be it a Lester look to the east, be it my own Grand Lodge ritual, be it there's one called the Masonic Games. There's another ritual called York Masonry. There's many different rituals, but when I had gotten this foreign rituals, when I picked up this other ritual, it wasn't a Western style Freemason ritual. When I picked it up and I read it, I was like, oh, snaps, this is different. So I had to understand, I had to come to a conclusion that practicing a westernized type of Freemasonry doesn't say that others are wrong. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that at all. But we who practice that standardized, that set of westernized Freemasonry, we say everybody else is wrong. That's wrong. That's not how it's done. I had to go back and rethink that. I had to go back and reread some things and kind of get a better understanding of some things. I have some very old encyclopedias. So as I was reading through them, it had nothing to do with someone who looked like me at all. Nothing at all. This was all westernized. This was all for them, period. So sometimes in life you have to build your own table and set your own food out and eat from your own table. You have to do that. But when you are afraid to do that, then other people are going to set the standards for you. People are going to set the standards for you. When you can't set your own standards, people are going to set standards for you. When you can't do right by you, then somebody else is going to have to show you how it's done. Plain and simple. So what I've learned from the various Grand Lodges that I've been able to visit, that the other Grand Masters I've been able to talk to, is that it's not just one way. This thing of opening and closing your lodge, this thing of how you approach and how you, it's not done just one way. And it totally threw me for a loop in my visitation to different Masonic Grand Lodges. It's not just done one way. Just because your senior deacon and your junior deacon operates one way, when you go someplace else, they may not operate that way. So you have to be able to adapt Masonry from a variety of perspectives, not just your own westernized perspective, but those from overseas, those from other countries, because you know Masonry is universal. Now if I keep telling you it's universal, but I'm only dealing with it from one perspective, then how can it be universal? I'm gonna say that again. If I tell you Freemasonry is universal, but I'm only dealing with it from one perspective, then how can it be universal? You have to look at a variety of different perspectives in Freemasonry in order to understand the trueness of the works, in order to enjoy the concept and construct of Freemasonry. You have to look at it from a variety of different perspectives, not just your own. You have to pick up many books and indulge yourself on the precepts of Freemasonry, be it esoteric, whatever you may find. You have to look at those things and then be able to apply those things and see if your Grand Lodge, see if your lodge is able to accept or reject those things that you have read, because it's different. It's different. Including, I was down in, and the way the when I was down in Mexico, the way those brothers grip you, they don't do that here. They don't grip you like that here in the States. They don't grip you like that here in the States. So you may say, well, you know what, brother, that we don't. No, you don't. But when you're in somebody else's country and you're going to visit them, you need to watch and learn. I'm sorry for that. However, so you do have to look at that from a whole nother perspective, not just a Western perspective of what you've been taught. You have to broaden your horizon. If I keep telling you something is universal and all you ever do is what you do, is where you're at, you are not getting the full mindset or seeing it from the fullness of what Freemasonry is. You're not getting it. You're not getting it. And I tell any Mason that. You know, just because you see it done this way, when you go somewhere else, it may be done totally different. And it's not to say that it's wrong or incorrect. It is not to say that. Because the more I read and see things in the places I've gone, I'm like, well, damn, you know. And then, like I said, in reading these Masonic encyclopedias, I'm nowhere in it. However, when I read the rituals, and I'm reading about Solomon. Well, who is Solomon? I'm reading about Hiram Abiff. Well, who is Hiram Abiff? I'm reading about Joppa and how the lumber was cutted and floated down the river. Where are these places at? And in reading the ritual, Western ritual, these places are located on the continent of Africa. So if it's located on the continent of Africa, then I must be in there somewhere. People who look like me have to be part of this thing somewhere in there, because you're telling me of where it's taking place at. If it's taking place there, then why am I not mentioned? Why? You have to ask yourself that. So I find that in the universality of Freemasonry, I do find myself there, but it's not here on the West. It's not here in the West. It's not here in the West. It's not. You have to go outside of the Western hemisphere to find you and find that respect and saying, yeah, you're part of it. They just never told you. Yeah, you've been there you was there in the beginning, but they never told you. And you be like, well, damn, what's your ritual say? And then when you read somebody else's ritual, it's like, well, damn, okay. Oh, really? You got how many? Man, I was told this. And then that's where your mind began to change and switch. You no longer see things as you once saw them, because now you're outside of a mentality that is totally different than what you've always had. Your perspective is changing because of your viewpoint and your advantage that others may not have. You know, everybody, I talk to quite a few different brothers, and I listen to them. The only viewpoint they have and an advantage that they have is being here, Western United States of America, the Western atmosphere of Freemason. But once you leave and you go see for yourself, and you visit for yourself, and you do these things for yourself, you have your own ritual, your own this and that, your own table that you've built with other Masonic Grand Lodges and jurisdictions around the world. When you have that perspective, it's different. It's totally different. I would tell you one thing that really was funny to me a few months ago when I was in Los Angeles, and the Grand Master for California was there. The Grand Master for Mainstream Grand Lodge. We was at a public installation for a new lodge that they was doing the installation for, and I knew most of the brothers in that lodge, and he was telling me, well, you know, brother, when you travel, you have to respect where you go, because the way we do it here is not how it's done there. And I thought about it. I was like, damn, if he can see that, if he sees that and knows that, well, then why do most of us have this ideology that if it's not done this way, it's not right? And I had to question the mentality of westernized Freemasonry that so many of us have taken on, and we have flipped it and we use it against everybody. We use it against everybody. You know, he that believeth on the Son have everlasting life, and he that believeth on the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abideth on them. All right, I like that. Follower of Christ. I'm glad to know that you're a follower of Christ. It's glad you keep that. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it at all. So as we continue to grow, as we continue to expand our information, our knowledge in Freemasonry, as we continue to look and see this from a variety of points of views, your mindset is going to change. It is definitely going to shift. I'm gonna say this again. I'm over here in the shade, so it keeps going in and out. When you begin to see things from different perspectives and get out of your comfort zone, you're going to see Masonry from a variety of different perspectives. Plain and simple. That is what I truly enjoy. When you say Masonry is universal, but you never have experienced a universality of Freemasonry, then you're drinking the Kool-Aid. You're drinking the Kool-Aid. You're saying this is, I'm right in every aspect. I'm never wrong. This is the way it's done. This is the way the Grand Lodge do it this way, and we do it this way. And this, no. You're going to be shocked. You're going to be shocked at some of the things that you see when you leave the Western Hemisphere as far as Freemasonry is concerned. When you leave and you begin to see things from a variety of practices within the confines of Freemasonry. Greetings, what's going on? I appreciate you tuning in. Blessings, Sir Tony, I appreciate that. You know, and this is what and I'm only speaking for myself, I enjoy. Because my travels this year is going to be out of sight, and I can't wait to begin my travels. And when I say my travels, I'm really saying real travels. And a very few Masons get to do what I call real travels. The next time you are talking with a brother, ask him when the last time he's been out of the country to visit other Masonic bodies. Ask him. Ask him. Oh, you're a Mason. You said you travel in foreign countries. You receive master weight. When the last time you've been out of the country to actually fellowship with other Masonic brothers? Or are you just here going state to state? Well, maybe you'll go here. Maybe you'll just go within your own affiliation, your own da-da-da-da. I was talking with Brother Ollie Spencer. I was talking with him. And I said, Brother Ollie Spencer, where are you getting ready to go now? And he named some places that he's getting ready to hop on a plane. I was like, well, damn, okay. And I know a lot of people don't too much care for Ollie. But, you know, that's between you and Ollie. You know, I know a lot of people don't care for me. And I'm okay with that. That ain't personal. You just don't care for me. And that's okay. However, in this thing we call Freemasonry, I'm going to get all I can out of it. I'm going to enjoy the fullness thereof. And you should do the same. And I'm going to say this again. This thing we call Freemasonry, you should get all you can out of it and enjoy the fullness thereof, because that's what I'm going to do. and they go back and forth with brothers in regards to their jurisdiction, who's right, who's wrong, and you're this and you're that. You know, I used to do that. However, what I've learned in the process, what I've gotten in the process to say, look, clearly something isn't right with us who go back and forth with each other over something that we don't own. We don't own Freemasonry. You don't own it. It's not yours. You are just a part of the members who have gone through the process of becoming a Master Mason, whatever that may look like. You don't own it. You don't own it. None of us do. There is no national headquarters to say that all Freemasons are here. It's none of that. Each Grand Lodge is sovereign to do whatever they want to do, how they want to do it, to work their craft how they want to work it. Whether I like it or dislike it, whether I agree or disagree, it is their sovereign right to do it. And I'm out of that. I'm out of that. So as I grow in Freemasonry, as I see different things that are taking place, as I travel, I'm like, well, shit, I'm missing out on a whole lot. Messing around with people who mindset is so standardized. Your mindset is just here. I'm missing out on a whole lot. How can I debate or argue with you when you haven't done anything, when you haven't gone outside your own comfort zone, when you haven't experienced the universality of Freemason, when you haven't experienced that? Why am I debating you about who's right and who's wrong when your mindset is westernized, when your thought process is all here? It's no place else. You haven't gone anywhere. You haven't experienced it. And I'm debating you? I'm talking to you? Ah, man. Even I gotta let that go. You know, even I gotta let that go. Can't do that. I was just telling my wife, man, they really going to, yeah, real talk. You know, no, it's like, to add to that, Mickey, it's like, it's more than there. It's more than there. Okay, Albania is just part of it. It's a stop on the way to many other places. But yeah, we doing that. But see, the thing is people say that you can't do these things, and then when you doing them, oh man, he's talking to other clandestine Masons. Masonry is universal. Nobody owns it. No one. So if you can build those relationships across the waters with other Masonic jurisdictions, whether you accept them or deny them, it doesn't even matter anymore. That doesn't even count. Because you're just a drop in the bucket. You're just a bucket. You're not even a bucket. You're a drop in the bucket. It is. You're just, man. And even then, I've met brothers from overseas. Brother George from Brazil often calls me up. He said, Brother Hawkins, you know such and such and such. I was like, yeah, I've heard of them. What are your thoughts? I was like, well, you know what? I enjoy the content, or I may say this, but what I'm not going to do is defame another person. Even if I don't like you, I'm not going to defame you. Once upon a time, it was on and cracking. But now, right now, in this stage of my life, nah. Why should I? Why should I go blow for blow? Why should I try to defame you and lift myself up at the same time? That doesn't make any sense. Now, a few months ago, maybe even a year ago or two, yeah, it was on the popping, baby. It was on the popping. But as I've grown and as I've traveled, as I began to see Masonry from different perspectives and talk to people from all over the place, man, it blows your mind. So I have to change my Western way of thinking regarding Freemasonry and look at it from a universal point of view, which we often talk about, but never experience. How can you talk about something you never experienced? People do it all the time. I see ministers talk about Masonry all the time. That's a devil, it's a code, it's a this, it's a that. They never experienced. They never experienced a raising, a true raising. You know, they never experienced that. But it's an occult, it's a this, it's a that. You hear it all the time. You hear people who've never And even those who have been involved with Freemason, you hear them all the time. Oh man, you know, they devil. I don't know what lodge you was in, but we don't do that here, you know. So when you see that, when you think of that, it's like, well, damn, you know. So look, I just want everyone to understand the universality of Freemasons is not just a westernized way of thinking. It is really, truly universal. So you have to change your mindset. You have to begin to move in a different direction in order to really enjoy Masonry. I mean, truly enjoy it. And until you do that, your way of thinking is going to be a westernized way of thinking. And that is to say, if it's not done this way, it's not right. I'm going to say that again. Your way of thinking is going to be this. If it's not done this way, it's not right. Because I would tell you this. The Eastern Stars, the Order of the Eastern Stars is only accepted here in the United States of America. I have yet to find another Order of the Eastern Star Grand Chapter in any other country. But I found Freemasonry all over the world. You take that or you let it alone. Until next time, peace and be well. Continue the journey, stay out the bushes, and keep your light on. Until next time, I'll holler back at you. Peace.